Welcome to the masquerade ball. Crowded bodies, yet the only passing reflections on the mirrors that adorn the walls are masked mid-air as we ourselves have been framed. Praise be, attempts to still be seen, heads above the shimmery waters that flood the room with various traumas. My arms wave for pearls to clutch, come up with nothing to touch. Unvictorious, I live and die vicarious. Scream through scrolling screens, TikTok, Reddit memes, cuffed to jeans and iced coffee, apparently peak by culture, but the only threads I sew into are flannel and an inability to sit straight my posture can attest to, as I much prefer the peak of whipped cream on a frappuccino besides. Wouldn't you say there's something gayer about blended eyes? When somebody well-meaning uses the argument, why should it matter what two consenting adults do in the bedroom as a defense for gay rights, it at first sounds sound. That's all there is to it, right? But I realize it still confines our existence behind doors. We have created a culture and an aesthetic out of necessity, to own something to recognize each other by and say hi with. All these affectations in the hunt for affection, so then, how to not hate your het relationship. But even though you are the same person regardless of who you date, it makes you feel like a stranger to your own brethren. That sense of belonging you long so much for, withheld still. How do I acknowledge my privilege, not take up too much space, but still have my place at the table? I think I find it in the space we create between purse lips, caressing ears, open to disclose coined identity. In one night sits with strangers, and a reunion with a school friend 7 years later at Earth's End, the I am too, or you think I might be. Thankful for what I would have otherwise not known had I not spoke free, as we swap origin stories of our queer awakenings, scope our past with hindsight magnifying glass and a fine-tooth comb for clues like Scooby-Doo. And while Velma is a canon lesbian, I'm dubious of the inkling the mystery includes a polyamorous trope. But I'll be brushing my teeth when I have a brush with epiphany. It's possible little she went for she-bo, and the theory was just anything remotely sexual that would turn me on to God's eyes as I visualized the totally spies in bikinis was totally lying. I was not cool as a cucumber watching Demi Lovato's Cool for the Summer of 15. I would like to thank Brittany for the spears she pierced through my shielded upbringing. Us to the lost princess that found my buy panic button installed. Dimitri wasn't just the dream. Pan up to see Anastasia dressed in midnight stars as awestruck gasp reflects in my own. When Savage Garden Snake affirms, I believe you can't control or choose your sexuality in the Mardi Gras stage with the silence music it deserves, it sounds just as revolutionary as it did to preteen me in my mom's backseat. At age 15, it did feel like a selfish choice. But I could have just as easily turned a blind eye to the other side for the rest of my life. In hindsight, there is no way I could have looked away. Why deny myself so much more beauty to appreciate? We gush over masked girls, fanboys, androgynous non-binaries, all in-betweens, extensions, rejections, and tall drinks of gender fluid. Exotic estrogen, testing testosterone, mixing bones, incisions or decisions against those who in transition transcend. Even if the descriptors still seem subject to stereotypes, we stitch these patches of latex, read the subtext of their eyes, draw lines that spellbind you to unfamiliar musculature, tufts of 3 a.m. manic-dyed red hair, pearls curled around Adam's apples, monochrome honed, colorful souls, all culprits of our queer quilt we lay out in front of the closet like a carpet. My delayed exit due to racking my brain as to what to take off the racks to rack up my rack. Emerge in a flurry of crochet corsets, whorish hosiery, holographic harnesses, descent into iridescent. We are the misfits and bits you can't miss. Live in the outskirts of boys out wearing skirts. Such a shame and invisibility cloak with the puppy following of Dr. Strange's cape is a staple of the wardrobe. Every confession I have yet to dally with specific lips threatens to envelop me again. I haven't kissed a girl and I don't like it. I feel with the label I've been presented a loyalty punch card by society. Free certificate of bisexual validity with every 5 queer experiences. Unable to find the right hole to perforate, it expires after 3 months of inactivity. My loyalty to another food chain assumed. Yet when you know gender is a spectrum, it feels heteronormative trying to start a collection. A straight man with more notches than leather on his belt and wood on his bedpost. I distinctly remember, age 16 en route to Stratford Girls at the station's crossroad, a thought left of field entered my field of view. I will probably have sex before marriage. Attracted to females long before I knew how they did it, although this involved disappointment. Is that all there is to it? It did offer the option of an unbroken island. So as I strive, so too did I cross the gender divide, leave my Muslim teachings behind, armed with an exception, even if the mark in question I was walking towards never left her mark on me. Mark my words. Never mind, cross that out. Legal age, 2 months away. A guy compliments me on the NSYNC reference in my Tinder bio. Having felt the need for a disclaimer, not being victim to my phobia later, opted for a pun sign-off. Bye, 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 bye. The moment I realized this relationship ripened meant I'd want to update my blank resume. Mine, flashlights, alarm bells ringing, abort mission, abort mission. Unless he rings it up, we do not need the reason for an abortion. I'd already tied up my position with a bow of poetry. I do not want someone in me unless they're going to be in my life. Herein lies the contradiction as to who my body is up to lie down for. If I go all the way for one, but stop short of a penis, am I delegitimizing already fetishized lesbian sex? I whispered to my ex, this is going nowhere near this, pointing respectfully, as subtly as one can, seated on a train carriage, and while he would always mind the gap, the same tongue that would lap up my lap would express his POV, anything not PIV was foreplay, as if the word sex was not in its name. A discourse dished out as to what constitutes a full course, reduced to an appetizer for a main that would never be served unless there was a service. When he said his needs weren't being met, he did penetrate me with insecurity. I will not be enough for men. Have I condemned myself to a life of solitude? Fortunate to have options, but unwilling to be intimate unless I love them, avoid putting myself in the position of a booby trap door where I fall for a woman less the burden. It's not my fault some bodies have an extra part. An extra part. I realized I wouldn't let someone use a strap on me and strap that on as an equalizer. But am I still upholding a patriarchal system of control, putting one act on a pedestal? Can I reclaim it as my own in my egalitarian mission? Is it just conditioning that's led misguided romanticizing what I imagine to be most equal, while not in pleasure, at least power dynamics and physical parallelism at the nexus? I feel like the phallus is more authority to use the language fuck. Why can't I envelop you before sending you off? In a dispute, the prefix bi reinforces a gender binary. I am butler to Judith. Gender is a performance, and I want to see you stage. I, artists, fall for the way people consciously express themselves, regardless of what that may be. You can't expect me to remain deadpan in the face of it. What a shame, then. Despite all the applause, standing ovations, perhaps the fact I never had, nor will my dad in the audience, lated my curtain call emergence in hand with a man in hopes of being told, bravo. I think I was queer long before I went near the word. The intersection with family, culture, and religion meant I was prepped for repressing my authentic self before this was even added to the equation. Costume change identities. Maybe one day queerness will not be synonymous with both hiding and showing, and I tentatively suggest overcompensating. Perhaps the butt resters' cis-het complaints of rubbing it in their face, but their asses can rest and endure duress when I can find straight sex sold at every convenience. I think I am queer in my showers of affection, with friends that leave them drenched in platonic cheek kisses, not let society dictate what is appropriate as long as each individual is comfortable. I think I am queer in how I love someone, first for the way they exist in the world, irrespective of if we have any relationship, never quite comprehended why 3 words are to exit with the smell of sulfur. The perception it spent lessens value and there will always be demand I will happily preempt and supply. I think I am queer in how it always appears first in my lips, how much love my heart has to give that I and others, including my mother, are suspected or at least wouldn't be surprised if I was poly, but my mind can only devote to one. I think I am queer in how I resist the idea all other relationships should roll over for the romantic and sexual one. I think I am queer in the way I compliment strangers, climb over desks to commend men on immaculately shaved beards and kiwi fruit eyes, wishing with each I also contribute to crushing the assumption I have a crush on them. I think I am queer in how I approach my straight relationship, as we shout equals into the vastness of the sky and a bridge, and watch as the wind spreads forth our mantra with the force of a flooded river. When I told my partner I am bisexual and noticed no visual or verbal twitch, my stomach did. But isn't this what we wanted? For it to be no different? Maybe that invalidated what it took to get here. I know I am queer. When the water recedes, what are we left with? Who do you see? Thank you.
Hi. This one's called Dear the Psychopaths, Justices of the U.S. Supreme Court. A 5-decade-old decision overwritten in one night. You're teaching all of America's children that there's simply no space for women's rights, that those in power make decisions out of spite, that forced pregnancies are a far higher priority than safety or equality. And you seem to have made it your very personal vendetta to make women feel inferior, to feed your huge egos and make them feel better. You crave control over a woman's body. You want her sovereignty terminated, yet she can't simply do the same with what your cum created. Look, I'm well aware that empathy is missing from your vocabulary. So I have just one question for you. Is bullying women into submission really all you can get off to? You should know that me and all my sisters are just getting started. We refuse to let our voices again be discarded. So keep bathing in your maniacal misogyny. Breathe it in like oxygen, but don't expect an ounce of sympathy when you choke on your own poison.
This is a happy one for a change.
Woo! Hey.
I'm going to try to raise ourselves this morning. Today is the day. Today is the yesterday to tomorrow. So let's say you make tomorrow so self-conscious that it can never be quite as powerful, be quite as positive as today. Let's make it today our slave, but let's do it so nicely that it's willing to do it willingly. Like it's a puppy catching a ball each new time you drop it accidentally 30 meters away. Today is going to bring everything it thinks you might need. First, it'll bring a shower fat with steam. Then it'll bring an espresso caffeine hit of pinky black coffee and a chunk of toast with the perfect ratio of peanut butter and honey. Today wants to take a bite of it itself. It didn't, because I left all of it for you. Today wants to go out and play in the backyard. It didn't, because it wanted to be with you more. Today is the day. Today is going to go so purposely that by the time it's time to go to bed, you'll do so happily. Today you'll get everything you need to get done. And today you will feel everything that you feel you have to feel, and maybe a little bit of what you want to feel as well, but nothing more. Today you will try to step out of that old skin you wear like scales. But if you don't quite manage it, that's okay. Because each new time you try to stand up to your depression, it will look a little bit smaller. So each new time, think about how it looks in your mind. Consider what size shoe he stands in and what size ball he likes to fetch. And today, you're able to master up the strength. See what happens if you throw him a ball that is 2 sizes too big. Who knows, maybe he won't be able to bring it back. Or maybe you'll have to call an anxiety to go out and give him a hand. As long as they're both out there, then it won't be easier making your day hell. Today is the day. So it'll be a great day to write a great poem just for fun. So it'll be an awesome day to listen to awesome music being sung. So it'll be a fun day to bake a cake for someone you love, like yourself. So it'll be a great day to be alive. Believe me when I say that today is great for you're alive as well. Thank you.
All right. This poem that I'm going to recite is a poem taken from my first book titled Trials. I hope you enjoy it. It's got a bit of a backstory to it. So here it goes. The electricity went off the other evening and I decided to take a smoke break. A few hundred meters from the house, I came across this old man who asked me, "Son, do you have a lighter?" Of course I had a lighter. I was taking a smoke break. I went over to the old man and as tradition requires, I greeted first. "Good evening, sir. I hope your night is going really well. Here is the lighter." He pulled out a cigarette from his pocket, carefully placed it on his lips, and he set it on fire. As if he was reading my mind, he blew all the smoke right into my face and he said, son, we are the monsters, we are your leaders, we've got a gun to your head because we fear you. We are the demons, we are the preachers, we've got fairy tales in your head to control you. We use beliefs, the media and alternatives to control, delete and alternatives, divisions to breed altercations, experimenting with your people during vaccinations. See, TV screens are causing identity assassination. We sanction nations, then we offer them resuscitation. Mouth to mouth, smell our colonial breath, inhaling our essence through a kiss of death. So you can look down upon your color, bleach your skin in a beauty parlor, renting an identity, enriching our entity. See, we take the profits, then we take more money when you give to the prophet. So you get drunk to battle ills, early mornings to circle bills. You're up before the sun rays because you have the sun to raise, wages a rare sum to raise. We removed you from your bantu ways and gave you what was dumb to praise. I stood there looking at this old guy like, dude, you just borrowed a lighter. Where is all this coming from? Can I please have my lighter before I could complete my sentence? He said, son, I said, we are the monsters, we are your leaders, we've got a gun to your head because we fear you. We are the demons, we are the preachers, we've got fairy tales in your head to steal from you. We own the leaders you are led by, televisions you were bred by, walking with your head high, not knowing you a dead guy. See, your pineal gland is calcified, the order wants me pacified because all of this is classified. I should not tell this information. No, a new order is information. Yes, promotion of a sinful nation, spread disease or bomb a nation. See, we meet up in Obama's nation to legalize abominations and nah. We ain't taking crap like constipation. See, stripping naked is now in occupation. Sex robots now making some computations. Second coming, yeah, we've got you waiting while we taking over and dominating. This is the matrix. We sit down and wait tricks. We do pew with beliefs. We pew to stay sick. So these are the basics. Keep you chasing things to buy with your pay slips. All of creation completed on day 6. Tesla knew the key. We took it. So face it. I looked at the old man and was like, dude, please give me my lighter back. He gave me my lighter back and I rushed home and I wrote this poem. Thank you.
This is called Vertigo Falling. The drop has no edges. The room has no walls. The floor is a liar, so hold all the chords for the expandable soul. It echoes so loud that everywhere sound is the ground falling up. This is drunk without the fun. As rough spun self-helpers running roughshod through groaning one-room catacombs, the slaughter steps, the onerous groom, barefoot gravel, remember well-being, being well. And to think, this is a prescription. The scientific wisdom that would presume to stop a fact in its tracks, to filter happiness, to create inner balance, presumptions of weathering the precipice as armchairs grasp a sentence by a granulated assistance absorbed to a dull edge. Yet the ground falling off is more a whetstone that does not hold hope, but bracing groans into the silent strain of an impact that never comes.
And the song's called Uterus. Unadulterated, undying, umbilical love, wrapped around unfaithful, uninspired, and unjust upstarts. She is but an unconscious and, at times, unruly vessel to carry our unscrupulous sins, to be used and abused her only utility. You tear her apart to unpack her unearthly parts, to try and understand this complex, unhinged brain, the unrelenting emotions, the unbridled hormones, the unnerving rage unleashed at all this undermining by you and your unworthy sons. How very unattractive her uterus makes her, how very unfeminine when the hysteria takes her. So ugly how opinionated she can be. Maybe she needs a hysterectomy, Maybe she just needs to be taken seriously. And I bet you thought this would be an angry poem, and it probably was, and hell, it probably should be. But the truth is, she's so much more than how he writes her in his story. She is a universe untold, a secret undisclosed, a mystery unsolved, despite all your unrelenting efforts to unrobe her. She is an empire of compassion unconquered. Every uncharted curve and contour coordinates of unprecedented understanding. Like a composer reads his music, bringing the symphony alive, only a woman can read love into life, like the unequivocal poetry she is. Make it dance in your eyes like bubbles in wine, unforgettable. Give it away without a thought, without a question, unconditional. The buttons of her uncontainable beauty undone to make way for you. She unearths the undeserving. She enshrines the unborn. So that not even the sound of unabashed scorn from a husband can be felt by the spawn inside. Despite the unforgiving world bringing her to her knees, despite the birth pangs, every unsolicited scream, every unbearable squeeze, she continues to bloom unapologetically. Her silk takes the shape of your unatoned hurt as your head meets her unflinching chest. But there is no greater rest than this unsurpassed sanctum of serenity, than this unashamed, unparalleled, unworldly uterus.
So this poem is called The Other Side of Manic. I am not depressed. It's just that the walls seem to be closing in on me. Memories fly at me so quickly, I ache with the pain of a past me I can't heal, and I feel it, all of it, all at once. I'm not depressed. It's just that the world looks broken. The sadness feels like it's dug its way into me and it's waiting to burst out. I'm not depressed. It's just that sometimes I can't seem to make it leave. So I scream or I punch or I scratch and I howl, but it just stays. I'm not depressed. It's just that I'm drawn to the blackness. I step into the shadows just to feel their familiar arms around me, just to feel relief from fighting and squinting in the light. I'm not depressed. It's just that no matter how much I sleep, the exhaustion's in my bones. Everything seems harder than it ever was. I'm not depressed because depression has never been a part of me. My life is defined by all the manic ups that come with my illness. They said I would be spared the downs. This was the small kindness. And it's just that if I am depressed, I'm not ready to live with that too.
Dear letter P, you let us down with your prison of patriarchy, patriotism, and policing. Give us passion, equal power, peace. Give us poetry. Give us popcorn, poppy petals, passion fruit, paper planes. Please pass me the peculiar. Pleasure me with perfect precision. You can keep your prim and proper, your prom queens and kings and princesses. Prepare for the people's revolution because it's here. Price that on your parking pay machine. Let's pay it forward to the precious, to the players waiting to be picked. Let's pray for the persecuted pencils that stopped professing. Let's protest the privilege that pervades our public system. Give us pride without the prejudice, a president who's not a prick. Protect us from polite politics. Passive aggression perpetuates what's sick. Pave the way for the people's performance, void of promise of a pretty paradise. No more push or pull, please. Present us with a parallel paradigm. Polly has put the kettle on. She's got the pressure at boiling point. The patriarchy no longer polarizes the people. We are privy to its pretense and perversion. So, dear letter P, I offer you my presence. This pussy is a poet, and I have said it. 18, it was the Trump pussy, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I really love, what I have to say, is I really love, I'm a 4-year-old. And as I was listening to that, I can kind of feel the place called Sesame Street. And I was like, oh, it's like Sesame Street for grown ups. You know, they have,
my kid get lunch on the spot.
yeah. That was really
It was 6
funny.
a.m. Whatever. I'm into the bed.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, and thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to next.
You can.
Anyone? Come on now.
We're ready.
We're all next time.
And my poem's quite short, so I'm going to do shorter poems after, which are short too, which is over the same kind of subject, which is desire. And I always, before I come on, like, what's going to be the public? What's the age of the public? But they already phones my communication anyway. So, you know, it's sensual. It's not pornographic, but it's
Back to your letter P.
very hot, right?
Like
For them, it's just a devious desire burns under the moonlight. The odor of night, jasmine enticing a golden sky. She, untamed, wild animal, viewed with deepest ardor. A dainty red dress lifted on the edge of lust. A drenching, dancing tongue, enlightening her droop. Fingers dipped in moisture, diving into the sea.
You could say, you could run it and bring me shopping lists and it'd sound sexy.
I will write your name in black ink on my left arm, whispering the letters amidst silk bed sheets. I will kiss your mark as a promise of sin. Skirt still buttoned, the strap of the bra draped over the shoulder. Nudity is commitment. Quiet as an animal of the night, I will leap the mountains of your body, the precipice where the sea invades your shore. In the shredding of your flesh, I will find myself. Woo! That's one.
My poem is called Atlas.
Yeah, Number 1. She who holds the world on her shoulders, Mother Atlas by name, to uphold, support, enduring Atlas, the celestial axis on which all children revolve. 2. Atlas as a mountain range, divine feminine, only lofty to the weary, it's lonely at the top, waiting for the one, the pilgrim, willing to suffer altitude sickness to break the spell. 3. Feminism as the original astronomer, Atlas extending her reach, creating lenses, mapping the heavens, capturing the infinite possibilities. 4. The geography evolves, women wait for the new cartographers, the brave retellers of her story, their bodies, futures on the line.
I got the letter X because no one else wanted it. Yeah, ex tempore. For those of you who don't speak Latin, that means a speech that is off the cuff. You're so extra. Let me explicate. You exhale words, expelling steam like an overheated espresso machine. Your exhortations hiss and gurgle. You rush to expel them, expunging your demons with the force of poetry. Your words extol, exclaim, examine, expletives explode by bombshells as you exult in your extraordinary lexicon. I wait, expectant, for you to extricate yourself from your exoskeleton of words, expose your exquisite self, expedite your existence from earthbound to existential. I long to make our words expand like wings so we can soar like extraterrestrial beings above the excrement of this dull world. Expose the exosphere created by our words, exchange vowels and consonants instead of rings to execute our wordy union. Such mental exercise is all I crave. We would make ourselves exceptions to the rules of all but grammar, exemplars of verbal exploration, our tongues twisting in admiration. You excuse yourself, claiming exemption from emotion, your devotion to words your only exemplar. My vision dashed, my wings clipped, I return to earth. With the power of my words, I exorcise you from my being. I expel you from my heart. I expurgate you from my soul. I exult that without you, my horizons will expand. I watch you extinguish, fading behind me as I write a new poem, exuberant at last that I can expel all mention of you, my ex.